Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Kashif Booth podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Martine Lewis. She is an art director, set stylist from London. Welcome to the show, Martine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Chief.
I'm happy to have you
Yeah,
on the
great,
show.
great to be here. Great to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to have you on the show because, like, I was on your podcast, Drop the Jewels, a few years ago, and I was like, yes, once I finish off how I want to do each of my seasons, I'm like, okay, Martine is next. Okay,
Oh, bless you.
so
Thank
yes,
you.
of
I appreciate
course, and I've
that.
already had your sister Serafina back all the way in the first season of
Yes,
the
yeah.
podcast that was like ages ago now. And yeah, so I was like, Martine has to be on because I'm always hyping up her and her family. They are the ultimate multi hyphenate talented people I've ever met. Like,
Yeah,
it's
we've got
insane, but I love it.
a lot of creatives in our family. It's actually insane. Like sometimes when I'm like explaining to people, they're like, "So your sister does this, and your other sister does that, and your cousin does this," and it's like, yeah, it just happened so naturally, and yeah, I think there's just something innate within my family that is, yeah, creative.
Which is great.
Yeah,
Like now you kind of see that like why like the Jackson family thrive, and like the Knowles family thrive. Like it's
exactly.
actually a thing. Like,
It is.
people are just
Yeah.
blessed with all this talent. But it's like with you guys, it's not just like one thing. Like you like there's multiple
Yeah.
things that you're just all
Yeah.
great at.
Yeah, exactly. And like
Mhm.
me, of course, right now I'm an art director. I've been working across TV and film for the past 5 years, but I come from a background of makeup artistry. So I was a makeup artist for like 9 and a half, 9 years. So yeah, it's just been like a strange progression, but like also really natural,
Mhm.
because I'm quite a crafty person, but also really visually, I don't know, like I'm able to sort of take something, look at it, and just
Mhm.
figure out a way to sort of produce it, basically. And it's just a natural thing that I've always
Mhm.
had, like since a child.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I love that. So, like, how did you get into makeup? Because that's how I first was introduced to you. And once I found out, I was like, "Oh, you're MUA."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
booked
yeah.
my team a lot because I'm like,
That you
I
did.
don't play
Yeah.
that in terms of
Yeah.
like other people. Are like, yeah, we do. I do all face skin tones, and I know
Yeah,
all this.
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I. You're looking a bit ashy. You're
yeah.
looking a bit,
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
tones, the neck and the face is just
It's not
not doing
matching.
it.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
I'm
Oh
like,
my God. Yeah.
yeah. I
No.
will trust a black hair makeup artist to do all skin tones because maybe you can like confirm this, but like you're kind of taught to know how to do all skin tones.
Yeah.
You start with your own and then you go out. Where other people they don't really do that.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think because okay, so just going back to how I got into makeup. So what people realize, I've lived many lives. So my initial career was I worked in a law firm, and then I just got so frustrated one day. I was like, I am so creative. I feel so bored. I need to do
Hmm.
something. So I just basically quit my job and went to
Hmm.
study makeup, for like theatrical makeup, hair, wigs, and took a year out and studied that. And even in studying it for the year, we weren't taught about black skin. We weren't taught, like, we did have black people in class, and we could obviously, but I don't think the teacher was like well versed when it came to that. So I
Hmm.
think what she did kind of say to us, I don't know if it was because of the curriculum that we were following, but she was like, you should get work on, like, working on a makeup counter where you get
Hmm.
exposed to so many different types of people. So that's what I did. And I think, obviously, as you said, starting with myself, my family members, I used to always do my grandmother's makeup when she was going out and things like that. So that kind of gave me the confidence to be able to obviously do everyone else, mature skin, younger skin. Um, and then yeah, so I did makeup. I worked for like a few kind of really top level makeup brands, and then I was doing some fashion bits like e-commerce stuff, like ASOS, Miss Selfridge. I did. Who else did I do makeup for? And then like some shorts and some reality
Mhm.
TV and just a myriad of things. And as I said, I did
Mhm.
that for 8 years. And then in the obviously the pandemic happened. So I was doing that right up until then. I did have a full-time job at the same time because you live in London and you need money. So I was kind of balancing
Mhm.
it out two jobs at the
Mhm.
same time. But um pandemic happened and then I think my sister was doing her first short, and we actually filmed that short in the pandemic. And she said, "Do you want to get involved in some like art direction?" And I was like, "Yeah, fine." I did the makeup as well, but I was like, "Fine, I'll give it a go." Like I've never done something like this, but I do have an eye, and she trusted me because she knows that I have an eye. If you come to my house, I'm very sort of particular about how I position things, and I've just always had that sort of knack. So I was like, I did it, and I was like, oh my God, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed like doing the graphic work, putting things up, arranging props and getting key props and going through. It's a different sort of level when you're doing makeup and you're asked to produce a look. You produce that look, and then the actor goes off or the model goes off, and you might touch them up. But when you're doing sort of set design, set styling, art direction, you're going through the script and you're looking at every prop that the actors interact with. You're thinking about the world that they live within. What is it invoking? What does it make them feel? What do we want the audience to feel? What do we want, in terms of Easter egg wise to stand out in the background? Um, and so I just really loved that. I loved the research aspect and, because obviously, yes, it's beautiful. You can design a set, you can put props in, but the research aspect and understanding why you're doing that is like what just kind of took it to a new level with me in terms of creativity.
I love that. And the short she's talking about is Talia
Oh,
versus,
yeah.
which unexpectedly blew up. But I don't know. There was something I always told Serafina. I don't know if she told you this. Like when I watched it and I was like breaking it down 100 times, I was like, "There's something about this," and I was like, "Let me just let me take control over this and
And see
let
where
me
it
do what
goes.
I can do with this," because I was like, I know this can get commissioned. I
Yeah,
know something can happen with this. And so we really just branded it and pushed it out. And people saw it because there was a gap in the market, and that gap is still there.
yes.
But, people resonated with it. And so they were like, oh
Oh,
my gosh,
absolutely.
like, this is me. And it's
I
like,
feel like every screening I
mhm.
went to, people are blown away by that short.
Always, always. And I think it's because like a lot of the time we've grown up like having to relate as black people to African American content and film. And so when you see yourself actually accurately represented as a black British person, whether you're Caribbean, African, Latin, whatever, you're seeing yourself represented. And so that's what it did. And it just felt more natural like that. And, it just went off in a great place. And we got a new one coming out soon. Hard Labor
Yes, yeah,
is coming soon.
definitely.
So, how is it for you to transition from like, okay, doing makeup artist to like, okay, now being art director, you have to kind of basically start from the ground up
Oh yeah,
again. you
absolutely.
know, how
Yeah,
is that like? And
yeah,
sometimes it is humbling, but that's the industry. Nobody's gonna just give you a position because you've been in the industry for years in another department. So what was
exactly.
that like for you to grind again and
Yeah.
graft?
Oh my God. Like you can say that again. It was definitely humbling, but I think it speaks to my personality anyway. When you get to a certain age, past your 30s, sometimes it's just like you just have to do what you have got to do, like you cannot think about any outside noise. Yes, it's hard. There's certain things that you probably think should be in place because you're taking a step back to go forward. But it's like if you I'm a very passionate person, and when I enjoy something and I set my mind to something, I'm just going to go full hog. So I think it was difficult at first, but also because I took to it so well, it was easy for me to sell myself. So all my kind of makeup contacts I was just like, yeah, I don't do makeup anymore. I'm an art director, or I just sold myself as that. And so I was getting referred for shorts, like left, right, and center. Like it was actually really strange, like how my trajectory went, because when I speak to a lot of my colleagues in the art department, when I work on TV shows, they talk about kind of like a slow route through TV. But I think because I worked on a lot of shorts, I was able to get first-hand experience actually crafting sets,
Mm-hmm.
beginning to end, props, dressing, planning, doing mood boards and things like that, pitch decks and all of this. So
Mm-hmm.
whereas some people might traditionally come out of school and get like an assisting job or a runner job on a TV show and try and work their way up that way, I was just doing shorts. I was doing
Mm-hmm.
shorts. I was like reaching out to all my contacts, like I can help you with this, that, and the other. And that kind of allowed me to say, get familiar with prop buying, get familiar with all the prop houses in London, understand what it means to raise purchase orders and sell invoices, manage
Mm-hmm.
budgets,
Mm-hmm.
manage crew, like even on shorts where I might have one assistant or two assistants, or even myself be supporting production designer. It allowed me to have a shorthand entry point into the world. And so it kind of, when I did start to do the bigger projects, it gave me I didn't need to kind of like go into at too much of a low end
Yeah.
when it came to like
Mm-hmm.
high end TV, for instance. So, um, yeah, I think everyone's journey is different, but I think whereas my age and my maturity, I think my age and my maturity give me a bit more, um, advantage because I'm not here to play. I haven't got time to mess around.
I have
Yeah.
bills. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I can take instruction and
Mm-hmm.
I have common sense, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of more utilizing your life skills and your
Mm-hmm.
creative skills and like putting those together. So I have, luckily, as I said, I've only been doing this 5 years, but I've only really been doing high-end TV, I'd say the last 2 years. And I've worked on, I did some dailies on Queenie. I worked on Black Mirror, 2 episodes of the recent season. I've done a load of commercials. I've done like Samsung, New Balance. What else? I've done like, in the time frame, I've done quite a lot, which
Mm-hmm.
in this time frame you might not necessarily think someone would be able to do. So I'm quite, lucky, and like I think it also speaks to just the work ethic as well, and just getting on with it, just getting on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think it's the importance of like building contacts within the industry as well. And I
yeah,
think you like doing Talia versus and people saying, "Oh wait, you were the art director on this." So it's like it puts you already in a different mind frame when it comes to like producers and people who are hiring or looking for crew and stuff.
totally.
And especially if you're saying, "Well, this is what I'm doing now," then that just works, you know.
Yeah,
And that's why like when we did Sunday dinner. And like I remember speaking to Monique, the writer director, and I was like, okay, she was like, okay, we need an art. And I knew it specifically what she wanted. And I was like, well, I know Martine does that now. And she's also Jamaican. And
hmm
this is a Jamaican household, a grandmother's house. So I knew you would understand. And I think culturally, sometimes you do need people who
oh yeah,
can get it. Like the
yeah, yeah,
little
yeah.
details you got
The
of
little
like,
nuances.
I'm trying, like it was like, what did you have? You had those I don't know
We
how
had
to
like
describe it.
dominoes, we had like
Yes.
scrolls that you would get in
Yes.
your grandmother's or your aunties
Mm-hmm.
or whoever's house,
Yes. Yeah.
like what
Mm-hmm.
you see here, leave here, all of
Yeah.
those sort
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
little
Yeah. If you
things.
leave it
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
it stays
yeah,
here
yeah,
and don't come back.
exactly,
You know the like,
exactly.
and you have those like little ornaments where it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like not glass, but like they were white
Whites,
and
yeah.
white
Yeah,
figures. Like my grandmother had the same thing.
yeah.
You
It's like
know, you got the
porcelain.
good plates in the
Yes,
cabinets. You know,
exactly,
like very,
exactly. And
you know,
those are so nuanced because if you don't grow up in a black or black Caribbean, reference to this particular project, if
Mhm.
you haven't grown up being exposed to a multitude of Caribbean families, then you're not going to be able to see like the kind of the pattern,
Yeah.
the plates,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
glasses that they use, the
Mhm.
decorations, the figurines,
Mhm.
the glass cabinets, the dominoes, the
Yeah.
type of patterns that they gravitate towards, whether it's a carpet
Mhm.
or the wallpaper, all these things are, it's a certain style that kind of is a hybrid of like Caribbean culture, but in Britain, you know.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was
And
really
it's not to say that nobody
no,
can't do it,
yeah,
but there's a certain level of authenticity as to
definitely.
what we are looking at when we're creating these stories and want to display this to the audience. And and that's where sometimes it gets lost. And I think sometimes, especially with like Caribbean culture, sometimes if you're not in it, it can be disrespected. And what I mean by that is that people kind of dismiss it as, well, you guys don't really have culture like that. Oh, it's just, you guys are just talking broken English, and, there's nothing to you guys but weed and stuff like that. But it's like, no, you're not in the intricates of our culture, or understand where it is. And so it's like the black diaspora is so different. Yes, we're all black, but we all culturally are different. And so it was key for us to have that. And that's why I knew you do a good job, and it was great. And it just continued like that for you, You were on Nine's, like, what was
Oh
it, his
yeah,
music
yeah.
video, short
Nine
film,
Circle,
you know?
yeah, feature short.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
yeah, that was amazing as well. And again, that was last year, and that by far has been my biggest responsibility so far in terms of one budget and in terms of crew. Yeah, just the like magnitude. We were working at West London Film Studios across two um stages. We had one, two, three, four, like five set builds, and several other locations. That was incredible. It was an incredible experience. It was hard, but it was incredible because um just having that level, like I haven't got there yet to where I've had that level of responsibility, say on like a film or like a big
Hmm.
budget film. So it kind of gave me a window, although it's not like, you know, multi-million pound budget, but it gave me a window into the inner workings of managing set builds or overseeing set builds or um uh making sure that your team is where they need to be, bringing props in where they need to be, working with the production designer to kind of work with the transportation to make sure they
Hmm.
collect things on time and
Hmm.
bring them to set. So that was so, so interesting. But again, it gave me, because it is like, uh, it's Nines, the rapper. It's kind of like it's kind of like I don't know what's the word, like indie. Maybe
Hmm.
that's the
Oh
word, but
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
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 yeah.
it's like
Because
indie.
didn't he
So
like direct it, and it's through his
yeah,
record label as well, right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
So um, we kind of was given our team, or myself and the production designer at Missa, we were given kind of free wet reign,
Okay.
to kind of be creative.
Hmm.
And that was really, really good. You don't always get that sort of opportunity
Hmm.
on that scale. So really, really enjoyed that.
No, it was great. It was a great short film, and I think it's always good to kind of work closely with like a black experienced production designer as well,
Yeah,
in that
definitely.
capacity, I'm sure as well.
Yes.
And obviously, you mentioned Black Mirror. You worked on 2 episodes. I was
Mhm.
lucky enough to be invited to the screening by you, and to
Yeah.
see, there was the sequel to USS Callister, and what was the other one called again?
Bête
Yeah, Bet Noir, which was
Yeah,
brilliant as well.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think those two have been, from what I've seen, like the reception online, those have been like the best received
yeah,
from the most recent season, which they were. I'm not being biased, guys. Like they
yeah,
were
yeah,
the
yeah.
best.
They were,
Bet Noir was brilliant.
yeah,
And one thing I love about Black Mirror, I don't know, I was saying this to my friend yesterday, is like each episode is like a short film. And
definitely.
that's what I love about it. You know, you get what you need, and then it's on to the next
So,
episode, and there's something else. So,
mhm,
what was it like for you? Because I remember when you was working on it, I was hearing, yeah, you've gone
mm,
from this and moved up. So, like,
yeah.
going every day, because in Pinewood Studios, right? Was
No,
it?
this is
Did you
in
shoot?
Shepperton
Oh,
Studio.
yeah, that's it,
Yeah,
Shepperton Studios. So, what was it like for you to like work on such a big show?
yeah,
To go and yeah, get also like a promotion. So what was that kind of
yeah.
environment for you like?
Absolutely mind blowing.
Mhm.
I remember when I had the interview and I spoke to the production designer because I came through actually Screen Skills. So Screen Skills do a thing, a thing called Trainee Finder every year. So they allow you to apply and basically sell yourself as to why you should be part of this trainee finder. It's a very kind of tight cohort of people that get chosen across various different departments, art departments, sound, costume, makeup, production, and I was lucky to be chosen to be one of those. And so essentially they send loads of jobs, trainee roles for you to apply for, and then across the UK. And then if you can do it, then you apply and you get interviewed and da 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 da. So the film industry has been very precarious. So unfortunately for our cohort, the TV industry was in a very crap place. So there were not a lot of jobs coming through at all. And I think for that year, I may have got maybe two interviews within 12 months. It was mad. But in that time, I was grafting, I was
Mhm.
doing shorts and I was doing commercials and so forth. But then I got this one interview and I was talking to the designer and she was like, but are you sure you want to be a trainee? Because you sound like you got a lot of experience. And I was like, girl, I'm just trying to get in. You know,
Yeah.
but this was
Mhm.
before I knew it was Black Mirror. So I'm having this
Mhm.
interview with her and I don't know it's Black Mirror. And so she was like, you know what? I've got a few other people to interview, but we got on like a house on fire. She was like,
Mhm.
oh, we'll let you know before the end of the day or whatever. And then she came back and she was like, we absolutely loved you. We want you to be a part of our team. We don't think like, we think you'll get on well, but I think the thing was like, obviously you're not a trainee level,
Mhm.
but we're giving you this opportunity because we think you can hit the
Mhm.
ground running and help and whatever. So that was the first episode was that we filmed with her was Bête Noire, and I came on as an art department assistant, but I was able to do many things because of the experience that I had. I helped with some graphics, I did dressing, I did some buying, um, and just like general sort of like art department things. So I think it was just yeah, it was amazing. We were in the office in prep with Charlie Brooker. We were listening to his crazy, insane, you know,
Mhm.
stories and how his mind works and what his thought process is. And for me, that was like such a privilege to be in the room, you know. And that really went well. And then they were like, okay, well, we're doing a second episode, so we'd like to take you on. And then I became part of the set deck team. I was doing pay cash buy-in, but I was also dressing. I was like played quite key parts in buying certain props for some key sets as well. So that was really, really good. And I just got to work really closely with like my head of department in terms of like, the thinking, putting together
Mhm.
mood boards
Mhm.
and that those mood boards being approved, that was very validating as well.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, like it was just it was just such an amazing experience to be kind of validated in what you've done up until that
Mhm.
point, and it's just given me the confidence to think, okay, yeah, like I'm a black woman. There's not many of us in this
Mhm.
area, but I feel
Mhm.
like, yeah, I feel confident. There's still
Mhm.
loads to learn, and there's always loads to learn, and you're
Mhm.
learning constantly because each project's different. You
Mhm.
know, whether that's from a historical context, a whatever it is, whether this is something that's set in a certain time, whether it's horror, whether it's
Mhm.
comedy, whatever it is, you need to be present in knowing what the subject matter is and fully entrench yourself in what that is going to look like.
Mhm.
It's not just because you're a production designer that you can just magic everything out of a hat. You have to put in the work to make sure that that comes across and you have a
Yeah.
happy producer, director, and everyone else, you know?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I want you to also like explain like how is it for you to like source all of the stuff that you can do, especially if it's set in a specific like time period. You know,
Yeah,
like I remember you were saying like for US Callister, like you source like the computers and the
yeah, yeah,
floppy disks. Like
yeah,
how was
yeah,
it like getting a floppy disk in
yeah.
like 2024? You know, like
Do you know what?
you know.
Surprisingly quite easy because eBay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also we did a lot of flea markets as well. So we
Mhm.
would go to like we went to like Crystal Palace has Crystal Palace flea. We went to like a few other like places where you can buy old things. You'll be surprised at what people are selling, what tap they are selling.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
actually it's so funny because you go to these flea markets and they're like looking at you because obviously you're like you're because some of these people they're old guys that do this week
Mhm.
in week out. They know their
Mm.
usual people, and they're looking at us like, "You guys work in film, don't you?" They just knew we
Yeah,
got our
yeah.
big trolley because we're
Oh yeah,
collecting
you
all
guys
these
were making
old.
it very
Yeah,
obvious.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And like maybe the way in which we carried ourselves, I don't know, but they could
Mm,
just tell from a mile away. And so yeah, it's utilizing things like flea markets,
mm,
eBay. You're doing a lot of research. You're thinking about the time in which this character is based. USS
okay.
Callister, it was, for instance, the garage scene. Um, just like he had loads of toys and like memorabilia. So we worked with our prop makers. I bought tons of like toys from like
Mhm.
this one seller on eBay to the point where he actually came down to Shepperton to hand deliver them. Like
Wow.
it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um,
Mm,
so that they can like reconfigure and so it's just such a labor of love, really, because you're sourcing
mhm,
props and then some props need to be adapted because some props may be branded. Say, for instance, they've got a brand on it, you might need to get it reimagined by the prop
mhm,
makers and things
mhm.
like that. So I think it's down to your research capabilities. You've really got to think about, yeah, you just got to think about the time that you're in. You got to think about the character, you got to think about their personality. There was like props. We had like what was Michaela? Is it Michaela Cole's character? I can't remember the name, but I
Mhm,
saw these like 70s shiny boots, knee-high boots that are in the background as well, which
mhm,
are kind of
mhm,
like, those I got off like eBay. Like there's just
mhm,
so many
mhm.
nuances that, especially if you are a Black Mirror head, you'll probably have a
Mhm.
look and be able to pick out those things. But
Right. Mhm,
it's all about filling the space. And although the average watcher might just look like, oh, this looks like it's set in the 90s or the 80s or whatever it
mhm.
is, it's like giving that overall look, and
Yeah.
feel. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
that you have to know exactly what every detail is, but then you can just be in that room or watch that room and be like, okay, yeah,
Mhm.
I can feel it. I know where I'm at.
Yeah.
I know where this
Mhm,
is set.
mhm. Mhm.
So yeah,
And it's definitely like you said a really good thing about the key thing is knowing how to research. It's not just going online and like, okay, typing that in and like let's
no,
see. No, you have to graph, like you have to be calling people, you have to be
yes,
like you said, go into flea markets,
yeah.
go into thrift shops, like you have to immerse
Oh my
yourself
God.
and put yourself out there. And I think also like people who are hoarders, like, yeah, this is why it's great to hoard, guys. Don't like hold on to those things because
Honestly,
we'll need it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
we'll need it.
definitely,
And also you won't get all clearance on everything. Like what you were saying, like, you have to reimagine things because like
yeah.
people may think, oh, they can just pay, but it's like you have a set budget for
Oh my
this. And it's
God,
like
yeah,
clearance costs so much money.
so
People
much
don't know
money.
how much it is to
Yeah,
clear a brand
we had
to be
to
featured.
like
Yeah.
we had a clearance person, like a Netflix
Uh-huh.
clearance person, where every time you bought like something that you weren't sure of or branded, you had to put it on a
Uh-huh.
spreadsheet, send it to her, and she had to go through it and approve it to make sure that, or if we could reimagine it, then she
Uh-huh.
would decide whether that was fine and put it to
Uh-huh.
the execs or whatever. It's very much like it's not easy.
Mhm.
It's not easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because people online they think, oh, well, that's just product placement. Not
Yeah.
necessarily.
Not
They just got
necessarily.
clearance
Yeah,
just to feature this brand in it.
absolutely.
That's literally it.
So
Mm-hmm.
I've been on shoots where like I won't say the brands, well,
Uh-huh.
some brands will not allow their brand to be featured on screen because they don't want it. Say like this film is violent or something, has violence
Uh-huh.
in it. They don't
Yeah.
want their brand being aligned with that.
Uh-huh.
Or like, for instance, this is another example. I was shooting something through the winter season and the actors were cold. So costume sometimes give them warm coats, the actors, whilst they're sitting outside in the cold waiting for them to come on set.
Uh-huh.
And you can get warm coats from brands. Say, I don't
Uh-huh.
know, any brand, Nike, North Face, whoever decides that
Uh-huh.
they want to give you. But if they are not happy with the subject matter of the film, they will stipulate these are only
Uh-huh.
for off screen. These are not
Okay,
for
yeah,
on screen.
exactly.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
Hmm.
it is, that
Yeah.
branding thing is so, so
Hmm.
important.
Exactly. So you touched on a little bit about you obviously being a black woman within the industry, specifically moving into production design, art directing, etc. What would you say? What's the diversity of that department? What's it been like? Because I think a lot of the time I'm trying to stress that to like other young people that yes, it's cool being writer, producer, director, but we need you in like the other roles, like in other
Definitely.
departments. So how have you found entering that space as a black
Yeah.
woman? Has it
It's
been
it's not
diverse?
in TV and film, it's not diverse at all.
Uh-huh.
It's not
Uh-huh.
like at all
Uh-huh.
diverse. I
Uh-huh.
know I'm friends with one black woman production designer. Her name's Sarah Mersel. She's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Um, but a lot of the black women production or even black guy production designers that I'm aware of, so don't shoot
Uh-huh.
the messenger, this is just what I'm aware of, um, are in either commercials, in event space like events or music videos, short
Yeah.
form, which there's
Uh-huh.
nothing wrong with that, but there is a real missing piece for black and brown HODs in the art department and production design in film, big
Uh-huh.
budget
Uh-huh.
film and
Uh-huh.
TV in the UK specifically.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, there's a particular designer that I love. She's American though. Her name's Hannah Beekler. She is she did Black Panther. She works very closely with Ryan Coogler. I've actually got a video coming out about her very shortly, but she is like so inspiring to me because she has been able to luckily for her, having the relationship with Ryan Coogler has enabled her to be put on a platform to create amazing set design. If it wasn't
Uh-huh.
for him, her journey might not have been on the trajectory that she
Wow.
had. So
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
do think it's so important that directors, especially black and brown directors, are very cognizant about employing black people production designers in the UK because
Mhm.
there are some. The thing is, the film and TV industry is very incestuous in terms of it's a lot of the same people doing the same things, moving from pillar to post. You've got certain studios who work with certain directors all the time who work with their usual team. So it's just people going from one job to the next. There's people that worked on all of Harry Potter, all of, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
Game of Thrones, all like these people, all they do is just move around in circle
Exactly.
and that's fine, but
Mhm.
it doesn't leave any room for anyone else to come in, especially black people, because a
Mhm.
lot of the time black people don't even know these roles exist, you know. They're a carpenter, you know, in
Mhm.
their day to day, but don't realize that they could be making big bucks as a carpenter, as a scenic painter,
Yep.
as a drafter drawing,
Mhm.
a hot
Exactly.
pan,
Exactly.
things like this. They're not aware, but they might do it in other areas of their life, which is outside the entertainment industry, but they could literally be making money. But if you don't have an in, if you don't
Mhm.
we don't have intentional directors and producers that are crewing black people, then we're just
Mhm.
never going to change the narrative. So I think, as I said, it's very, very. There's loads of black people working in the art department. Don't get me wrong, like
Mhm.
art department assistants and
Mhm.
drafters.
Mhm.
There's like I'd say loads very loosely, but like there's a
Mhm.
few scattered around.
Mhm.
But I haven't seen any reach to heights in the
Mhm.
UK yet because
Mhm.
you've had the same people at the top for a very long time, taking up space,
Exactly.
and no one will
Exactly.
employ anyone outside it. And I do get the fact that you got someone reliable, you got a budget, you need to
Mhm.
meet the expectations of the studio. You need to make sure that you spend wisely and you don't get some crazy person. But there is
Yeah.
so many talented black and brown artists that could
Mhm.
do it with their eyes closed. Architects, people
Exactly.
that are architects and things like that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I do think there's so much room for change. I don't know if you want to speak to like the kind of um I don't know, the time that we've had as black and brown people in positions of power in TV and film, why maybe
Mhm.
we are at an early stage. We are
Mhm.
starting to see more black directors getting
Yeah.
prime TV slots, films, shows, Netflix, and
Yeah.
so forth. So
Mhm.
maybe that
Mhm.
change is coming. I don't know what you think.
Mm. I think it's a difficult one because it's coming. However, everything's still short lived. Black and brown shows tend to have a shelf life.
So, yeah.
The sell by date is literally 2 years.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
literally it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, people are gonna use Supercell as an example. They're gonna use Dreaming Mars Black as an example. They're going to. Most people don't talk about Black Ops, which is on BBC,
Watch that.
because yeah, see, a lot of people don't know it. That's like a comedy cop show. That's been renewed for season 2 as well. But everything that has been within this like post Black Square Summer Renaissance has been short lived. Most of the stuff that has been commissioned, especially with TV, they've been left in limbo. We actually don't know whether it's been cancelled or not. So I think that's the concerning factor of it, and I think it has opened up the opportunities for there to be more black directors directing black shows, which has been needed. And then that has led to them hiring the team that they want to. So that's where it can be. But unless there's more of a consistent commission of shows that are lasting and are building an audience, then it's still going to be short lived. And especially as like the films are still kind of, and the film industry is still on in this weird space, even with all the tax incentives that they're doing. So you're still not seeing enough black films being made. I'm trying to think like what else has there been? Like, yeah, you had The Kitchen last year. Rylane was 2 years ago. Yeah, and that's it. There's
I know,
nothing
but Supercell was like, when was that? Supercell
like,
last year.
yeah, that came out last year, but we
Came
know
out, but it was
that shot like
still ages
22.
ago.
So that was shot
Yeah,
ages ago,
yeah, true. Yeah,
So that was shot ages ago before it actually even was released. So, so there's the issue. And like you said, it's a lot of black art directors or a lot of black people within multiple different roles are in the music video space because the music industry tends to thrive so much more for black and brown, well,
yeah,
specifically black artists in this country. Um, than film and TV. And so that's why they're within that space. And then, what else is there? Yeah, and then I've noticed there's a bit more, but it's
yeah,
commercial
yeah,
industry is
yeah,
worse.
yeah, yeah,
Way worse than
yeah,
TV and film anyway.
yeah, yeah.
So they're in there a little bit more. That's when I'll see a lot more of them doing the set builds, being a part of the team like that. But it's also because I think there's faster turnarounds. The money's usually a lot better, and you don't need to stay in the space for too long.
Yeah, like
No.
when like we deal with things like microaggressions and things like that. It's like it's kind of
Mhm.
easier to kind of be in that space because you're like,
Yeah.
well, this job is
Mhm.
2, 3 days, or this job's only a week. I just have to put up with these people for a week. Go that
Exactly.
way.
And those AP, no, it's true. And those
Flex my
APA
check.
rates are something serious. Okay, serious. The APA rates are, yeah, yeah.
The
Okay,
APA rates are serious. I just came off a
listen.
job last week, and I was
Hmm.
like obviously, I'll wait for my invoice to be settled, but like it's a good, it's all right. Do you know what I mean? So
Exactly.
yeah,
Because when I was managing those budgets, when I was working in house, I'm like, wait a minute.
it's a
I
different
need to
level.
be freelancing more
Yeah.
because this
Also,
is
like the
actually mad.
penalties as well. Like the penalties are amazing that you get in
Yeah.
the APA rates of like
Hmm.
overtime, going to lunch late, missing lunch, all of
Yeah.
this stuff
It just
is
adds
great.
up. I'm like,
Yeah,
whoa. And it's there. The money is there. Okay. These brands
yeah,
have money.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like,
But
so
again,
yeah, so I get it.
but it's occupied, isn't it? It's occupied.
Yeah.
This is the
Hmm.
thing. It's like certain parts of the industry are concentrated and occupied by a certain type of person,
Hmm.
which does
Yeah.
make it difficult to infiltrate. So
Yeah.
again, it just goes back to my point where I just hope
Hmm.
that we get more directors and more producers that are intentional about,
Hmm.
occupying or moving into these spaces and or being given the opportunity or taking that opportunity
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
to
Hmm.
be able to crew up in
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah that,
We just need more of the opportunity, more of the space to actually prove ourselves, understanding and making sure that the industry understands the market better because they're not taking enough risks in what they're commissioning. So then that's why it's in that continuous cycle. I do understand like why some people do want to use the same team because
yes, of
you have to deal with a lot of people
course, yeah,
who are just, yeah,
crazy,
interesting people. That's, yeah, yeah. So I understand why you just want to stay with your core
yeah,
people. I get that.
yeah,
However, there's no space for other people to enter into it, to create more space. So it's like, and how are you going to meet other great people to work with,
exactly.
because there's so many talented people still coming through, but you're being too rigid. And then because I remember once I dealt with this racist director, and I remember her saying once like how, well, I tried to do a diverse team, but they just went up to scratch, and I was just like, are you sure?
Okay.
Like in my head, I was like, nah, because in the same breath, she was there talking about her nephew and saying some very disparaging things about him, because he was clearly probably queer or maybe trans. And so it's like, so if you're saying that about your own family member,
Well,
so then how am I supposed to really take on what you're saying that you actually thought they were good, or did you just have preconceived notions about them?
hmm
And so there lies the issue.
yeah, that
So
is yeah. It's
yeah,
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 it's difficult. I do hope things do change. Um, I am yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. It's just yeah, as I said, it's like it's such a precarious time. So much is changing. To
Mhm.
be honest, I couldn't have picked a worse time to get into this part of the industry because as soon as I got involved, it was like no, of just the back of the pandemic. So it's a fallout from the
Mhm.
pandemic. It was like it
Yeah.
started to go up and then it just crashed again. Then we had the SAG-AFTRA strikes
Mhm.
and writer strikes and things like that.
Mhm.
So then that was a downturn. Then,
Yeah.
every couple of months, people are like, yeah, the industry is going to be booming in like April.
Yeah.
And it's like April comes by and it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
summer, so it's going to slow down. It'll be back in September. And it's like September comes and it's like one or two or three productions. And it's like
Mhm.
it's like, it's been insane. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
thinking about doing
Mhm.
my own projects as well. So at
Mhm.
the moment, I'm kind of it's still early days, but I'm thinking about
Mhm.
executing my own projects just to kind of get
Mhm.
across my style.
Okay.
Um, just like more from like an artist perspective as well. So yeah, because I think,
Yeah.
in these times,
Mhm.
although it's like it's not easy, I think, what better way to use your time than to just
Mhm.
try and do something for yourself, try and do something on your own, try
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
utilize the
Mhm.
kind of, people you have around
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
resources that you might have to do your
That's
own
good
thing.
because I was going to ask you because you're such a creative. Like, I love the content that you make as well, and you're a fashion girl as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
have you ever like wanted to like enter into the fashion industry? Have you
Yeah.
ever thought about designing clothes or doing
Uh,
anything like that?
no, no, but I do want to do runway. I
Mhm.
do want to do
Okay.
design some runway shows, but yeah,
Oh,
I'm working towards that. But I would love
okay.
to do some
Okay.
like conceptual
Uh-huh.
runway. I don't know if I would do clothes design. I think that's a bit too much.
Uh-huh.
I like to wear clothes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
making them,
No. Yeah.
maybe not so much.
That
Um,
would be good. Okay,
yeah.
you should talk to. I'll tell you something after we wrapped.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I think, yeah, definitely. I think you should definitely be designing some run. Because when you look at like, especially, I don't know about London Fashion Week, but like, what's that guy's name? Not is it Tolu Coker? No,
Oh, it's a
I love her
girl,
work.
Tony Coca. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
And what's the other guy's name? It's gonna annoy me. Oh my gosh.
Oh, is it the light skin guy?
No, the other
Oh,
one.
oh, oh, he's Sierra Leonean, I think.
Yes, what's
Uh,
his name?
oh,
And I did a whole fashion documentary,
his
and I
name's
can't remember.
Fode, I
Yeah,
think.
but what's his brand's name?
I,
But his
yeah, 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 yeah,
his. I wish I could
yeah.
find it. His fashion shows are amazing.
Amazing.
Like
Yeah,
he's the only one I feel like pushing boundaries when it comes to London Fashion Week.
yeah,
Because all these other like set designs, what they're doing, they're boring, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
you look at like Paris Fashion Week or the ones in New York, like they really are pushing the boundaries, and I can see you definitely doing something like that.
Yeah, I would definitely like to move into not even just move completely, but like
Hmm.
start to do some of those
Yeah.
sorts of things. So,
Hmm. Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking about kind of producing my own kind of
Hmm.
thing to kind of
Good.
go
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
way. Yeah.
Definitely. It's multiple streams of income. I'm stepping into theater as well. I need to
Oh,
be
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everywhere because as we've been discussing the industry, yeah, so I need to
Yeah.
be everywhere, especially like with content creation because I know you've been doing that as well. and
Yes, yeah,
and I love the series you've been doing about like the production designers and art directors that you were inspired by and love. So like who
yeah,
are some of them? Like
yeah.
who are some of the ones that you really do like?
Well, as I mentioned before, Hannah Bleeker,
Mhm.
who is the one that works very closely with Ryan Coogler. So she did Moonlight, she did
Mm.
Sinners, she did The Black Panthers, she did Lemonade, Beyonce's Lemonade,
Oh,
Black is
her.
King.
Okay, yes, yes, yes.
Uh,
Okay.
she did Ryan Coogler's first feature, I think, Fruitvale
Uh,
Station.
oh, Fruitvale Station. Okay,
So
yeah.
she's been with him since the beginning.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I don't want to give too much away because I got a video dropping either today or tomorrow. But
Mhm.
I think for me, when she made Black Panther, for her research, she prepped for 10 months and she made a Wakandan Bible of 500
Mm.
pages with
Wow.
research,
Mhm.
um, inspiration, who Wakandans are, what the dialects, the different tribes are, who they're inspired by, every single detail
Wow.
about the ecology of the
Uh-huh.
land, every detail. And
Mm.
she handed that to her teams so that they could really understand and be immersed in the world. Now, for me, that is next level.
Yes,
It's
I'm
next
getting
level.
goosebumps. Like
You
literally,
know
that
what I
is
mean? Like
amazing.
this
Yeah, yeah,
place,
yeah.
it's got you thinking you want to book a ticket to Wakanda and it doesn't even exist. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
level
yeah,
of
yeah.
world building.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just so inspired by her. Like if you think about the projects that I've mentioned, they're all kind of like depicting this kind of future understanding of Black and African culture, and it's
Mhm.
aspirational, and it's like
Yeah.
acknowledging you know, maybe like spirituality and religious practices and honoring those things and showing them in a beautiful light. And it's being done by a white woman who is a Black woman who is
Mhm,
heavily researched, you know, and
mhm, mhm,
it's like so, you know, carefully um you know, dealing with it very tenderly. And I have
mhm.
so much respect for her. So she's my like ultimate. Um, then I would say there's another guy. Oh, what's his name again? Um, shoot, his name. He works with Wes Anderson quite a lot.
Okay. Mhm,
But he's a white guy that works with Wes Anderson, but he is incredible, and like I'm obsessed with Wes Anderson films because I just love I love color, I love like
mhm.
symmetry, I love like detail. And I think a lot of it is cinematography as well. I think
Yeah,
cinematography
yeah.
does play a lot into it, but just the way in which it's designed, the way that costumes and production design interact is so important. So Wes Anderson films and uh again a stage designer that I love is Es Devlin, which I put out a video about her, which is like she's like one of my like really artistic inspirations because a lot of the stuff that she does is like around theater and live music stage design,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
she does a lot of things around light and shape.
Okay.
And I think that is just like the work that she does is just so incredible. She's
Mhm,
done a couple of Beyonce tours. She done Renaissance. She did Lady Gaga's recent Coachella performance.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
just like
Mhm,
incredible, you know, and these are women like at the
mhm,
helm, and it inspires me because although I'm like, you know, a woman of a particular age in my 30s, but these women are in their 50s and still
mhm.
killing it. And it just makes me think, I've got so much to do, you know,
You
I've
do.
got so much to
Time
do.
is.
And I'm so,
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
makes me feel so
Uh-huh.
excited because I'm like, you know, especially nowadays, you know, you go on the internet and like, you know, the young Gen Alphas or whatever are being like,
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
40 years old, go and you know, get off the internet and go and die or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
When
you
they're saying like, oh, there's people born in '98, I'm like,
yeah.
excuse me?
No.
Like, what you say? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so yeah, so it just I mean, I don't think that way, but you know, the youngers I think
Mhm.
it's a bit of a wind up and a bit of an online joke. Some of them do take it serious,
Yeah.
but it for me, I feel very youthful. I feel like I've got
Mhm,
so much to go. I've got
mhm,
all this life experience that I'm now pouring in, and I'm still learning. I'm reading. I'm going to galleries. I'm going to theatre.
mhm,
I'm watching film. I'm trying to like arm myself with as
mhm,
much information to be able to pour
mhm,
into these stories, pour into these productions.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, like yeah, it's great. It's a great time.
Amazing. Because I'd love for you to work with somebody like Gabriel Moses. I
Oh,
remember I'm always saying about him.
yeah,
He's amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Like, not only is he like amazing photographer, I feel
yeah,
like he would probably be a very good art director as well. I don't know
yeah.
if he's done a
Oh
lot
no,
of that.
he's
Oh, he has?
he well no, not I don't know actually. I mean, you kind of could because the way that he's I don't know about how he who does his design his curation for his
Yeah.
exhibits, but I mean
Yeah.
that's art direction in itself.
Exactly.
He's
Yeah,
done like some
basically.
music videos, like
Hmm.
he's done like a little Sims. He's worked with Little Sims music
And
stuff.
he works with
Worked
Travis Scott a lot
with
as
Travis Scott a
well.
lot. So I
Hmm.
think although he's a photographer, he's an
Yeah.
he's all encompassing. He's
Just
an
the
art director.
creative.
He's
Yeah,
a
exactly.
visual creative,
Hmm.
you know, a
Yeah,
visual
yeah, yeah.
artist. So Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm
yeah,
just manifesting for you to work with them, okay? Because I feel like you working under these people would be amazing. Because I feel like it's
yeah,
aligned with just you. If you know
yeah,
Martine, you know that's her, and
yeah.
so it's just building that
I think
as
that's
well.
why
Hmm.
this year I'm kind of, although yes, I'm trying to get the jobs and whatever, working on shows or shorts or whatever it is, but I'm really the next year really trying to start to do my own curated work
Good.
to establish my style, to then be able to um
Hmm.
obviously like be appealing to the people that I wanna
Yeah.
collaborate with,
Hmm.
of
No,
course.
do it. Do it. We've had conversations where I feel like the way to achieve your goals and where you want to go has changed. You
Yeah,
know, the normal kind of context as to like what you're supposed to do isn't the same. So you have to kind of take control of like your own personal brand online. You really have to put yourself out there in
totally.
every way so that you can curate your own event. You can create the platforms that you want to create and opportunities for yourself, because that's why all of these Gen Z and whatever, that's why they're like making so much money
Oh
and
my
that's
God,
it.
yeah,
Yeah. And a
yeah,
key person somebody said was that I'm not trying to be an influencer. I'm trying to get the opportunities that influencers are
yes.
afforded. And I was like, yes. Okay.
Yes, yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I'm doing.
yeah,
So that's why
yeah,
I'm posting.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So exactly.
I
So
yeah,
mhm,
that's kind of how I'm thinking as well. I'm also trying to think in the way of like frequency because
mhm.
there's all these rules like you need to post 3 times a day, you need to post three
Yeah.
times a day every day for a month. And it's just so like at the moment I'm posting once a week and I'm like
Mhm,
trying to kind of figure out how I can maybe right now I'm doing kind of like mini essay videos that are like three
mhm,
minutes long or
mhm,
2.5 minutes long. But I'm trying to figure out a way in which like say for instance your videos they're very like boom 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 to the point.
mhm,
Do you know what I mean? I don't even know if
mhm,
are they even
mhm.
a minute long, but you get so much
Someone, yeah. Mhm,
information just
mhm,
in like snappy, snappy, snappy. And it's like, oh, that's
mhm,
amazing. I didn't know that. Oh my
mhm.
God.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that works
Mhm,
so well. So I'm trying to think of ways in which to
mhm,
uh segment. I guess like
mhm.
for instance, you talk a lot about like award season as well. So
Mhm.
like you break down your
Mhm.
videos into like the different categories. So I guess that kind of
Yeah.
gives you more content. So I think
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's just like building, learning your style, what you want to talk about. You know, I'm very much like really trying to make sure people understand, like, okay, what the industry actually is about. You know, because a lot of people do these video essays talking about they know the industry and
they
it's
don't.
crap, and that's
Yeah,
what TikTok pushes out.
yeah,
Whereas I'm trying to like say, well, this is actually how it works. I'm trying to educate UK Black Brits like us, like what we have had in the past, this is what's actually going on, you know, this is what's coming, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Really
you're
try to
showing
educate
like
and
a
make them
good
understand like
yeah,
mhm,
you're showing the
yeah,
trajectory. You're showing like
mhm,
this is where were. We were kind of
mhm,
thriving, then we kind of dipped. Then like something's happened. Then like people are not supporting black entertainment. Then we're being
mhm,
celebrated here. Then what do we need to do to? It's very much
yeah.
giving like it's a nice. I like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And I just tried to like give news. I've been kind of giving news as well. So like people actually understand like, okay, this is what's actually coming. Okay. You might not know it because the marketing budget's not going to be there. So here it is,
Yeah,
you know, and see what they can do so that people know. Because I think a lot of the time people get online and they complain about, oh, this hood, this, that, whatever. And it's like, well, no, there's actually like all of this, but
you
you
just
guys
need
don't
to
know
look.
it, you
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
just
So,
because something is hyped. I mean, say for instance, Top Boy. Okay, yeah, it's hyped because it goes back a long time. Also,
yeah,
someone like Drake is attached to it, and like your favorite
exactly.
grime MCs are attached to it. Of course, do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like you're gonna
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that push.
exactly.
You're gonna see that push.
Hmm.
But there's still other things that are being pushed, but maybe
So many.
you don't know the main actor, so you're not paying attention. But there are people that are
Hmm.
paying attention because
Hmm.
they've watched
Yeah.
that person's last 5 projects. So it's yeah. I feel like sometimes the negative voices can kind of appear
Uh-huh.
loud.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of the time, like you will then say, "Well, there's this," and then some people will be like, "Oh, but that was corny. That was this, that." But it's like, okay, so just because you don't like it doesn't mean that there's not stuff there. So
Exactly.
it's like that's why I'm trying to say in my like constructive criticism about the industry is that like you do need to take more risks. You know, once you take more risks and see that there's markets for things, it's about us reaching a point where we don't all have to tune into every black thing just because it's black. We want to have a variety of stuff where it's like, well, you know what? I love that for them. That's not my type of thing, but I
But I know,
prefer this, you
yes,
know? And that's all I'm saying we need to have. And we're not
yes,
having enough of that because the volume of what's being commissioned isn't there.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. So, where can people find you, Martine, to like stay updated with what you've got going on?
Um,
And yeah.
I would say at the moment, TikTok, because that is
Okay.
all I'm on at the moment. My Instagram is
Uh,
kind of redundant. So at the moment, if you want to find me on TikTok, it's Martine Archive. And if you want to find me on Instagram, it's Martine Lewis underscore underscore. And then my website is martine-lewis.com. So that's got an updated sort of view of my portfolio currently. And yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Martine. It was great speaking to you and knowing about your history and where you are now and what's coming next. So, yeah.
Having
Well,
me.
you're welcome. Well, thanks, guys, for tuning in. You can follow me all on my usual socials. You know them. There's much of them. Stay tuned for the episodes coming soon.